This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. Hurricane Michael gains strength along the East Coast, Brett Kavanaugh hears his first arguments as Supreme Court Justice, and the rift between Kanye West and Taylor Swift continues. Hello and welcome to Matador News. I'm Savannah DiMarco.
And I'm Gloria Alas.
United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley says she's resigning at the end of the year. Haley was one of the few women left in President Trump's cabinet. She says Trump was informed of her departure roughly since 6 months ago. Haley started her career in politics as the governor of South Carolina. She has been seen as a potential presidential candidate, but she has no intentions of running for president in 2020.
No, I'm not running for 2020. I can promise you what I'll be doing is campaigning for this one.
Haley's relationship with Trump hasn't always been this strong. Early into his political campaign, she was a frequent critic of the president, but the relationship improved after he named her envoy to the world.
We will miss you. We'll be speaking all the time, but we will miss you nevertheless, and you have done a fantastic job, and I want to thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Haley was the first cabinet-level United Nations ambassador for the Republican administration since the end of the Cold War. She plans to name her successor within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Hurricane Michael is growing stronger as it reaches the Florida Panhandle. It is expected to reach a Category 3 with dangerous storm flooding and destructive winds. Florida Governor Rick Scott has declared a state of emergency and warned people to get ready.
We have declared a state of emergency in 35 Florida counties. This allows state, federal, and local emergency managers to be able to quickly respond to this disaster.
People are bracing for the hurricane by stocking up water and placing sandbags in certain areas. Experts say Michael has potential for becoming a catastrophic hurricane. It could be one of the strongest hurricanes to hit the Florida Gulf Coast in 13 years.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has invited Pope Francis to visit the country. Officials say Korean President Moon Jae-in will relay the invitation when he visits the Vatican. Moon says he wants the Pope to ease tensions between North and South Korea. North Korea has been known to crack down on religion, but Francis has shown interest in uniting the Korean peninsula in the past. The Vatican hasn't said anything about the invitation yet.
A tanker truck spilled tar on the 210 freeway in San Fernando Valley late last night, forcing an overnight closure of the road. The lanes remain closed at 5:30 this morning. Snarling rush hour traffic. Details about what led to the crash were not immediately available. Witnesses told the California Highway Patrol they saw the driver swerving lanes before the crash. The driver suffered minor injuries.
So far, 15 people are dead and over 300 are hurt after an earthquake hit the country of Haiti Saturday. President Jovenel Moïse visited Pointe-de-Paix on Sunday, urging people to donate blood. He has asked international aid agencies for assistance. Several crates of medicine have arrived from the health ministries, sending doctors and patients running from the hospital, fearing the building would collapse. The earthquake registered at 5.9.
A rapper's meet and greet turned violent late last night. Paramedics were called to the scene of rapper Fora's Hollywood and Highland event. Witnesses say fans were injured in a mosh pit. They also say several people passed out after the rappers arrived. Officials say 10 people were checked for minor injuries. 8 out of those 10 were taken to a hospital.
The LA County Inspector General is investigating the searches of thousands of Latinos made by sheriff deputies during traffic stops. The LA Times reported that 70% of traffic stops on the 5 freeway north of the city were Latinos. 2/3 of them were searched, apparently for drugs. The county supervisor, Hilda Solis, says she's asked the Inspector General to review the domestic highway enforcement team. The enforcement team is made up of 4 white male deputies. Solis says she is concerned that racial profiling could have been used on Latino drivers.
Thousands arrived for a candlelight vigil after a limo crash killed 20 people in upstate New York. They gathered at the Mohawk River to mourn the victims of the crash. Apparently, the driver didn't have a license, and investigators say the limo had failed a recent inspection.
Protesters continue to gather outside the Supreme Court as Justice Brett Kavanaugh begins his first day. Kavanaugh was confirmed by the Senate 50-48 on Saturday, the closest vote to confirm a justice since 1881. The president's tweet this morning says that our country is very proud of Kavanaugh and his family. Yesterday, Trump apologized to Kavanaugh for what he called terrible pain and suffering during the confirmation process. But protesters outside the courtroom screamed, "This isn't over," as Kavanaugh arrived to the steps of the building.
My focus now is to be the best justice I can be.
Kavanaugh will hear 2 hours of arguments involving cases of repeat offenders later today.
Now let's go to Matador News reporter Ahmad Akkaoui with reactions to the Kavanaugh controversy in the newsroom.
As we just heard, Kavanaugh's been very busy deciding on 2 cases that can put repeat offenders away for a long time. The Associate Justice was confirmed by the Senate on Saturday. Today, security was prepared for a much larger crowd than showed up. Some CSUN students say they have been following the story.
I'm very not happy with it, and I'm very disappointed, especially just because of how permanent this decision is. Like, there's not really a way that we can go back and change it. So I'm very not happy about that, and I'm also not happy about how Dr. Ford is being treated with all of this, and how she's getting a lot of disrespect, and her life really can't go back to the way it was before.
So I feel like there was a really well done investigation on it, and so I don't know, I feel like he has the right place.
It makes me feel like a little bit uneasy that he was accused and so many people were against it, and so many people were against him, but like they couldn't find any proof. So I'm like, I believe, like, I don't know what I believe because like they couldn't find any proof, so I'm assuming that he was okay and that everything was fine.
It's just you couldn't prove either way because things happened 30 years ago, but regardless of what happened, he's not the right guy for the job, I would say, because of his actions and the statements he made. He kept saying that he liked beer. For an innocent guy to keep saying that he liked beer in that way, it just came off the wrong way, and people keep defending it because that's how judges talk. But regardless of whether or not it happened, we just could have just put in another Republican in. It doesn't need to be a Democrat. It could have just put any other Republican.
President Trump says everyone should accept that Kavanaugh is a member of the Supreme Court now. Election Day is exactly 1 month from today. And now here's Kenia Arevalo with the latest on business.
Some Amazon employees say they're upset over their new raise. Chair Jeff Bezos announced last week he would raise wages to $15 an hour. But the New York Times is reporting that Amazon will no longer be giving out new stock grants or monthly bonuses. In the long run, workers believe they will be losing money. Amazon said more than 250,000 employees and an additional 100,000 seasonal workers would benefit from the pay change. Snapchat profits fall to a new low. Media analysts say the company is quickly running out of money. A recent app redesign has upset users and company executives. Snap stock dropped 7% in the last week. Snapchat still hopes to be profitable by 2019. And now here's Alan Cardoza with the latest on health.
Downtown LA is experiencing a surge in typhus, and it's causing a lot of concern. Health officials say at least 57 cases of the disease have been reported. They say it's flea-borne. They're working with city officials to help reduce its spread. Typhus fever can cause serious health complications that could turn deadly. The condition can be treated with antibiotics. Health officials recommend keeping a clean environment to help prevent it from spreading. A study published on Monday in the journal Pediatrics says children who clean their hands with sanitizer instead of soap and water reduce their missed days of school. Researchers in Spain studied hundreds of children up to age 3 who attended 24 different daycare centers. During the 8-month period, the authors found that children who used soap and water had a 21% higher risk of contracting a respiratory infection and a 31% higher risk of being prescribed antibiotics than those using hand sanitizer. And now back to Kenya with the latest on entertainment.
Some of the nation's most popular entertainers are getting involved in politics this week. Kanye West is expected to meet with President Trump to discuss prison reform and job availability for former inmates, as well as manufacturing in Chicago. On Sunday, Taylor Swift took to Instagram endorsing Democratic running for office in her home state of Tennessee, saying she has more recently decided to voice her political views publicly. The two have feuded on stage in the past. And now let's go to Matador News reporter PJ Shahamat in Studio B with reactions to entertainers and their influence in politics.
CSUN political science professor Martin Saiz says entertainers are citizens just like anyone else.
Yeah, why not? I can't think of a single reason why they shouldn't.
Okay.
They're citizens just like everybody else. They just happen to be popular. So they're just expressing their opinions. They're citizens too, so.
CSUN students say they are mostly in support of the entertainers speaking on it too.
I think it's a little bit manipulative since they are already famous for other reasons to get their fans involved in their own particular politics. However, it's fair game because everybody has their own free will when it comes to choosing politics.
I think that it's only responsible for them to consider the impact it could have and to understand that they have a platform and know what that voice could do. So personally, I do like artists that may be a little socially conscious in their lyrics or their actions otherwise, but it's art, so I guess it's subjective, but my preference is probably for action. Yeah.
Entertainers make it a plus because sometimes they don't really know what they be talking about and they still post, and then it makes everything, I feel like it makes situations much worse because a lot of people just go based off because they like the entertainer, not because they know what's really going on. Oh, she voted for him, so I'm going to vote for him too. I think it's like more of that. I'm on her side, and if she's on his side, I'm on his side too.
Let's go back to Kenya in the studio with more entertainment news.
Nominees for the 2019 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are announced this morning. They include a diverse group of artists including Stevie Nicks, LL Cool J, and Janet Jackson, to name a few. Of all the 15 new nominees, 3 acts are led by women, and 4 feature people of color. The final list of inductees that usually consist of 5 artists is expected to be announced in December. Actor Tom Cruise has been seen filming on a naval base set in San Diego. The actor will be playing the role of a pilot named Pete Maverick Mitchell in the sequel to the movie Top Gun. The new film is expected to hit theaters in mid-2019. The original film grossed $300 million at the box office after its release in 1986. And now let's go back to Ellen with sports.
The Los Angeles Dodgers advanced to the National League Championship Series for the 3rd consecutive year and 4th time in the last 6 years after defeating the Atlanta Braves 6-2 yesterday afternoon. Manny Machado broke the game open in the 7th inning with a 3-run home run after David Freese gave the Dodgers the lead in the top of the 6th with a pinch hit 2-run single. Atlanta was unable to capitalize with the opportunities they had, and now LA will move on to play the Milwaukee Brewers with a chance to return to the World Series after losing last year to the Houston Astros. Conor McGregor was defeated by Khabib Nurmagomedov in the 4th round of UFC 229. After the fight, Khabib jumped over the cage to attack McGregor's teammate Dylan Dennis, turning the biggest fight in UFC history into a full-scale riot. Conor McGregor has been handed a 1-month suspension on medical grounds because of his actions post-fight. He is suspended until November 6, 2018, and he is not allowed any contact until October 28, 2018. History was made last night when Drew Brees passed Peyton Manning to become the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards after he connected on a 62-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith.
Come on, Dad, huh? Yeah. Come bad. Hey, I love you guys so much.
Entering the game, Breeze only needed 201 yards to eclipse Manning's mark of 71,940 yards. In typical Drew Brees fashion, he surpassed that before halftime. And now back to Savannah.
If you don't want to leave home but still want some tasty treats, Porto's Bakery has you covered. The incredibly popular and always packed bakeries in Glendale and Burbank have rolled out its Bake at Home service. They'll ship you an array of their baked goods that you can cook from home. Portos is planning to ship nationwide. Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Savannah DiMarco.
I'm Gloria Alas.
I'm Alan Cardoza.
And I'm Kenia Arevalo.